Evening, peeps. Good evening, everyone. All right, let's see what there is to talk about from the world of boxing today. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. We have just gone past 28,000 subs, so I really appreciate everyone hitting that subscribe button. Thank you very, very much. The next target is 30,000. I have no idea when we're going to hit it, but it would be nice to hit it sooner rather than later. But thank you so much to everyone that has recently subscribed, all the old subscribers sharing the videos. I really, really do appreciate it. All right, let's see what we can have a chit chat about. In fact, before that, the next guest, I'm pointing because they obviously sit there, is going to come in on Saturday. Fingers crossed. They have promised me they'll come in on Saturday. So that video should be out Sunday, maybe Monday. We are going to try and do a Sunday session live this week, so it'll probably be out on Monday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a lot of good feedback from you guys, things that you want to improve. We'll try and make those improvements. But yeah, thank you very, very much. All right, what's this one? Terence Crawford sues Top Rank for breach of contract, claims racial bias. I mean, this is a very, very difficult suit that he's trying to do. It says here that Crawford is represented by attorney Brian Friedman with damages of nearly 10 million being pursued. I'm going to quickly read. This is an article in the New York Post. It says, according to the New York Post, the legal papers involve numerous allegations of racial bias. Crawford shines a spotlight on the systemic racism that runs through Top Rank's complete inability to properly promote black fighters, and Top Rank Arum and his son-in-law Todd DeBooth's disparate treatment of black fighters, including Crawford. Arum clearly allows his revolting racial bias to impact the fighters he is obliged to promote. There's more on this in Boxing Scene. Boxing Scene have pretty much pasted the whole thing that was in the New York Post. Boy, this is going to be a difficult lawsuit for Terence Crawford, a difficult one. I mean, how do you prove it? I mean, how do you prove it? It's going to be very, very difficult because as much as, look, even if, say, Top Rank were a racist organization, some might say they are, some might say they're not, I don't know. But even if they were, their love for money would outweigh and outshine that. Does that make any sense? So even if they didn't like black fighters, if the black fighter could make them money, they're sure going to make money with a black fighter. You know, I don't think Bob Arum's going to think, here is a black, this is my own views on it, people. Have yours, leave a comment. I don't think Bob Arum's going to think that's a black fighter. My racial or my racist ways are going to stop me from really pushing and promoting that guy. Now, whether or not there's something in the fact that because he is a black fighter and he doesn't know how to promote black fighters, maybe that's a different conversation. And maybe that's something they need to look at as an organization. But he would want to make money from Terence Crawford because Bob Arum likes nothing more than money. I've always fought with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's my favorite fighter. You guys probably know that. But I've always felt like Terence Crawford doesn't help himself. Like behind the scenes, when you catch Terence Crawford slipping, he is fun, he's engaging. You guys would remember that one with Errol Spence where they're going back and forth. And Bob, funny thing is, Bob's right in the middle of it laughing. He's loving that because he's probably thinking, this is what we need to see more of. But every time he gets in front of sort of main TV, if you like, I don't think we get to see Terence. I don't think we see Terence at all. I remember the one where he was on First Take, and it was him and Amir Khan, and it was Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, I think it was. Yeah, both of them, I think. And I was thinking, come on, Terence, show them that funny side, the character, the mean side. You don't get to see it. You don't. So as much as I think Bob hasn't promoted Terence well, I think Terence hasn't helped Bob either. Because again, I think Bob sees a side to Terence behind the scenes that he's thinking, this is fantastic. This guy's got a bit of everything. But again, as soon as you put the camera on him, not much. But I do think there has been a clear lack of promotion for Terence, but I do also think that Terence has to help himself. Like, I think gone are the days where your promoter, or you're relying on your promoter to promote you. I know it sounds silly because the name is in the title, but gone are those days. You've got all the tools to help push and promote yourself. You've got all the tools to do it. And if you can't take advantage of those tools, then that might be your fault. It might be. So I think Terence has to, and look, Terence might win this case, I don't know, but Terence has to look within himself as well and think, okay, could I have done a bit more to promote myself as well? Because it isn't just a case of being good in the ring. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works anymore. It really isn't. You've got to be able to put bums on seats. You've got to be able to make people want to buy your pay-per-views. I remember when Terence fought Victor Postal. And at the time, I think all but one belt was on the line. And I remember that flopped badly. I think it done something like around 50,000 buys. Like, that's really, really bad. And I think that should have been the wake-up call for both Terence and Bob. Okay, we need to do something here. This isn't quite working. And look, even who's it? The vice president of PBC, I think it's Tim Smith, was saying recently that unfortunately Terence just isn't that guy. He isn't a draw. I mean, it's not working. And again, I don't know. Like, you can only promote something that helps himself with the promotion as well. Like, imagine someone like Terence shouldn't do this. I'm not asking him to do this, but imagine like a Nassim Hamed. Like, that must have been a dream, but that wasn't down to Frank Warren's promotion. That's just Nassim. Nassim was like that. Nassim was, energetic and done things, and when the camera went on, he shone. He could have been a quiet guy behind the scenes, I don't know, but every time the camera was on Prince Nassim's face, you were getting gold. That's nothing to do with Frank. Nothing at all. It's just what it is. Tyson Fury right now, that's nothing to do with Frank or Bob. That's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is that guy that when the cameras are on, I've been around Tyson Fury, not many times, but I'm telling you now, I've seen Tyson Fury in a room. I've been there. Quiet. I've seen him in the corner, almost just stoic, in a corner. As soon as the camera goes on his face, it almost like this character just comes and he just lights the whole room up. So some people know how to promote themselves, and I've always felt like Terence didn't know how to do it. And I don't know, again, I'm not quite sure if that's a Bob Arum racial thing, or that's just a Bob Arum thinking, I don't know what to do with you. Like, you're coming across quite boring here. And there were times when Terence was a bit that. And I think Terence has to help himself. So I think both are to blame. Trust me, I think both are to blame for the way in which Terence has or hasn't been promoted. I think both deserve blame. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Again, that's just my take on it, people. Please feel free to leave your take. Billy Joe Saunders could have been better. He cut corners, says former trainer. Who's this that's saying this? Mark Tibbs is saying this. Yeah, I think everyone agrees with that with Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders could have been a lot better. I mean, especially at 160, not 168. You guys would have heard Travis J, or I don't know if you watched it in full, but Travis J mentioned that when we was talking about Canelo, because Travis is one of those people that thought Billy Joe could have caused problems to Canelo, but he thought he could have caused problems at 160, where he was a bit more lighter on his feet and just overall better. But I never ever thought that Billy Joe just reminded me of a guy that, and look, I don't know anything about Billy Joe. I've not been in and around his training camp, so I'm just making this up as I go along. But he just reminds me of someone that in camp, so a 12-week camp, he is dialed in. But what's going on the rest of the weeks? So the other 40 weeks, if he's having one fight in a year, the other 40 weeks, what's happening? And I'm not convinced it's dialed in at all. That's what it reminds me of. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a wasted talent. Like, honestly, when I think of him and Kell Brook, I think these guys could have been very special on the world scene. Like, both won world titles. Billy Joe won world titles in two different weight classes, but I still think they could have been a lot better. Like, big fights after big fight after big fight after. That's what the best do. Not just one big fight. Like, if I was to ask you Billy Joe's big wins or big fights, it's only 3 or 4. The best have 10, 15 big fight after big fight. And I think both of them, Kell Brook and Billy Joe, could have done that. They could have, but both now at the end of their careers, and I think they'll look back and be disappointed. Barrios here on Thurman. I'm picturing Keith being in their hungry, strong, best shape of his life. He will not be in the best shape of his life. I'm just not having that. Not at this stage of his career. He just won't be. Look, it's nice to have Keith back. It's a shame that the last 4 or 5 years of Keith have been not even a part-time boxer. You can't even call Keith that. It's just been inactivity, injuries, fell out of love with the sport. I think he's just admitted that himself. It's not going to be the best Keith Thurman. It's going to be a good Keith Thurman. It's a Keith Thurman I think might beat Barrios. Just might. I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't seen Keith since August 2019. Was the last time we saw Keith when he lost to Manny Pacquiao. He's fighting February 2022. So no one knows what Keith we're going to see. No one. And he's only coming back for the money. I'm sorry. I know that sounds stupid. Look, every fight fights for money. So that's a silly statement. But, like, I don't expect to see this Keith then want Crawford or Spence. I think he'll say it. I can't see him fighting those guys, not this version of Keith anyway. I think he'll fight the guys that he know he can kick off and tick off for, a bit of money. I don't think he'll go for the juggernaut. I really don't. Daniel Jacobs' career could be over if he loses to John Ryder, says Eddie Hearn. Yep, 100%. Amir Khan, I'll leave it to God which round I knock Cal Brook out. Man, again, you guys know my feelings on this one. I've always been and always will be a Cal Brook fan, but I do think Amir Khan's getting him at the right time. Sometimes boxing's all about timing. All about timing. Like, if we're just talking of it from a money standpoint, so not from a legacy fight, just money, like, how much money could Amir Khan, Cal Brook made 6 years ago? How much now? I don't think it'll be that much different. I think this is going to do really, really big numbers. And I think Amir Khan would have lost 6, 7 years ago. Again, from a legacy standpoint, it would have been a bigger fight 6, 7 years ago. But from a money standpoint, there might not be much difference. So Amir Khan's probably thinking, yeah, I'm going to get you now. I'm going to make the same money and I'm going to knock you out. I do favour Amir Khan in this one. I need to see how Kel looks leading up to the fight, the weight. When his face starts to get really drawn in, like that, when it's drawn in, then I just know he's in trouble. I saw today that Eddie announced on his Twitter that unfortunately Liam Smith, Jesse Vargas is off for now. It's being postponed. I think Liam, let me just double check. I think it was Liam Smith that has tested positive for COVID. Let's just double check. It could be Vargas. I spoke to Josh Warrington today, by the way, for TalkSport. Seems in very, very good spirits. Confident of the fight. It's funny because he said when he fought Kiko Martinez 5 years ago, people were saying Kiko Martinez was done then. And obviously now you look at Kiko. Okay, Jesse Vargas has tested positive for COVID. So there'll be a further announcement on the new date in due course. It's a shame because that was going to kick off the Zone's American cards. That was the first one. So that means Eddie and the Zone's first card is the 12th, which is John Ryder versus Danny Jacobs, Alexander Palace. So yeah, it's a shame for the Zone, that one. Anything else? Yeah. A bit on Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. Apologies. Obviously, I've digged him for his inactivity a lot. Obviously, look, he's worse than Keith Thurman. His inactivity. The reason behind it might be due to this, especially in the last sort of 12 months. His father has had his foot amputated, which is crazy. Obviously, his father helps with the training as well. So he said he's been doing some training himself. So mentally, he's probably not in the right place to fight at the moment. But it'd be good to see him back in the ring, 2022. Again, another fighter who's going to look back and be like, yo, could have done better, could have done way more. Gary Russell Jr., prior to Lomachenko fighting him, people were looking at him like the next thing, like the real deal, go through weights, everything, and just hasn't happened at all. Hasn't happened. All right, there's just been this thing going around now. I've seen it. Tyson Fury has spoken about Alexander Usyk beating AJ. Like, how can you let this steroid or juiced up middleweight come up to your weight class and beat you up and leave it to me and I'll get the job done? And a lot of people have come at him. Vladimir Klitschko came back at him and said a few things as well. Let's start with Fury's accusations or the allegations he's thrown towards Usyk. I will say this about Alexander Usyk, and look, who knows, right? Alexander Usyk, as far as I know, hasn't failed a drug test, but let's not forget, this guy was, as an amateur, albeit a few years ago, a tiny amateur. I mean, again, let's not forget, Sean Porter beat him. And then it was after he fought Korobov. You guys might know Korobov. You should know Korobov, actually, if you're watching this channel. Korobov's fought the likes of Charlo, fought Eubank Jr., injured himself. Korobov was a very, very highly touted amateur, like one of the best. Korobov beat him. Usyk, I think, disappeared for something like 18 months to 2 years or something like that anyway. Go and do your research on it. And came back basically as an amateur, as a heavyweight. So he fought Korobov as a middleweight, came back as a heavyweight, put on a lot of size. So I think that might be what Fury's referring to when he says a middleweight, that because the last time as an amateur before he got really big, he was a middleweight. So I think that's what Fury's referring to. Now, Vladimir Klitschko has pretty much said, look, you're throwing stones in a glass house here because let's not forget, you failed a drug test in the lead up to the rematch that was supposed to happen between them. Very, very true. You guys should know this. Yeah, it failed the drugs. I think it was nandrolone. I think he failed for. Most Fury fans, I'm a Fury fan, but most hardcore Fury fans almost seem to dismiss that. So it's weird how Fury would label Usyk a drug cheat, and that's kind of what he's done here. I don't know why he's attacked Usyk like this, but he's labelled Usyk a drug cheat when he's clearly failed a drug test as well. I mean, Fury, I think both Fury and Tyson were going back and forth with the British Boxing Board of Control. Sorry, apologies, UKAD. Look, it's all there to go and see. Do you remember all the wild boar meat thing? It's there to see anyway. But yeah, it's very strange from Fury to kind of attack Usyk like this. Very strange. I don't know where that's come from, but we'll see. George Kambosos eyes a return in May. Big fight in Australian Stadium. He said, look, the only way he's fighting the couple of people that have called him out is if they come to Australia. Devin Haney says he will go. Lomachenko says he will go. Nothing from Gervonta Davis. I don't expect Gervonta Davis to go. Might do. Let's not forget he came over here and fought Liam Walsh. It was Liam Walsh, wasn't it? I always get the Walshes mixed up. I think it was Liam Walsh. I don't want to get that wrong. Sorry. Was it Liam Walsh? It was Liam Walsh, yeah. He came over here and fought Liam Walsh. So you never know, he might travel. But I do think he's at a stage in his career now where he probably thinks, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm the man. I'm the draw. But if he wants the belts, they're there for him in Australia. And of the three, I almost feel like Gervonta would be the bigger. Because if Gervonta goes, Floyd goes. Wherever Floyd goes, the media goes. So I think of the three, Gervonta could be big. And if I'm Gervonta, I'm looking at Kambosos thinking this is a very winnable fight. So go into someone's back garden in front of, I don't know, potentially 50 to 60,000 and beat him is a big thing, but I'll be shocked if he does it. A couple of more bits here before we go. Joyce looks to return in April. Plans for a huge year in 2022. Joyce was due to return in Feb. Injured his hand. Now looking at April. I don't know what Frank's going to do with Joe. I really don't. I miss Sam Jones, by the way. Sam's agreed to come down here, actually. So we're going to get Sam Jones in here next week sometime. So not the Saturday guest. The week after that, we're going to get Sam Jones here, which is going to be fascinating. But I do miss Sam because Sam, I almost felt like Sam was almost Joe Joyce's voice. And like you feel like you heard more about, and not only that, but you felt like Sam was really pushing him, like really pushing him. Whereas I don't know if Frank, he's not Frank's guy, is he? Dubois' Frank's guy. He's not really Frank's guy. So be interesting to see what Frank can do for him. Anything else? I saw this one, by the way, and I was so embarrassed. I think I might have spoken about it before. If not, if I have, apologies. But Mairis Briedis, the #1 cruiserweight in the world, basically lobbying for a Jake Paul fight, but getting a tattoo. And it was real. I thought it was a joke when I saw it. I thought it was just a picture of some sort. He's getting a real tattoo, or done it, sorry, of Jake Paul, and using it as a call out. How embarrassing. I mean, what does this mean? Does this mean that he's just not getting paid? Like the Sauerlands, and they're his team, right, are not paying him? How can the #1 cruiserweight in the world, the ring-recognized #1, be calling out a YouTuber? What does he really think? Like, has he really there properly and thought, okay, you know what? This is going to work. Jake Paul's going to want to fight me. Everyone's laughing at him. Everyone is laughing at Briedis right now. And I love Briedis. I think Briedis is a fantastic fighter. It's just sad. It's just sad. It really is. I don't know who. Like, surely he's gone to speak to someone and they've said, stop it. Stop it. No. I don't know. I will end on this one. Is that the... Yeah, well, actually, let's see if there's any more stuff. But I think this might be the last one. Floyd Mayweather continues his money-grabbing thing after boxing. Look, I don't mind it at all, by the way. Floyd is going to have a fight with an influencer, YouTuber, I don't know what it is, on the helipad in Dubai. Now, you guys might have seen that helipad. There's been a few things done up there. I mean, I remember Roger Federer playing Rafa Nadal up there as a little bit of an exhibition thing. Floyd will fight up there as well. He's going to get paid millions to do it. Good luck to him. You know, some people have said, like, this is ruining his legacy. Shut up. It's not ruining his legacy at all. I mean, look, Floyd as a boxer stopped after the Conor McGregor fight. That was the last real fight for Floyd for me. And even that, I don't know if you can call that a real fight. So either way you look at it, Floyd's 49-0 or 50-0. All these other ones are just Floyd saying, if you really want me to pay me millions, I'll do it. You want to pay me to fight Logan Paul? Pay me. What, you want me to pay me to fight this guy in Japan? Pay me. And now you want to pay me to have a little glorified runaround with some YouTuber and pay me millions? Pay me. I like this. What I don't like, and what we see fighters doing on a continued basis, is fighting legit fighters past their prime. That's kind of what scares me. And Floyd's not doing that. Floyd knows his limitations. Floyd knows where he is. I mean, he's been in and around boxing. He sees his uncle and his dad. He knows. And Floyd's saying, look, I'm not going to have real fights, but if you want to pay me to fight these bums, and that's kind of what they are, God, sorry, I'll do it. And that's what he's doing. Anything else here at all? Anything else? Just trying to see if there's anything else, guys, to talk about. But here on Daniel Dubois, Trevor Bryan is a fight I want. It's going to happen. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. We're done. Guys, appreciate it, as always. Thank you.